Okay, hello everyone. We're back, and today we're talking to Stephanie Stephan, and she is an animal healer and animal communicator. Hi, Stephanie.
Hey Sharon, hi
Hey.
everybody.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'll go ahead and read your bio, okay? And
Sure.
then we'll get to chatting. Okay. So Stephanie Stephan is a animal healer and animal communicator with multiple certifications in animal healing, including Reiki. Stephanie has been assisting animals and their human companions with her powerfully loving and healing presence and practice since 2017. She regularly volunteers and helps animals at Dove Lewis Animal Hospital here in the Portland area and many other local animal shelters and sanctuaries. So I'm very happy to welcome Stephanie, very good, loving friend of mine, to uh, to to my interview system thing here. So, Stephanie, can you share with us how you got into animal healing? So I know it's a passion.
Yes, I believe I've covered this story in a few of my classes, and it really started back when I was a kid. Somebody asked me, I believe I was maybe like 8 years old. I was just in elementary school. I was little, and somebody asked me, "So, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And I had always said, well, I wanted to be a vet because I always wanted to heal animals. That was always my answer. That was my go-to answer every single time. But that particular time when I answered, I actually want to be the voice of the animals. And that got me thinking that here I am in my 40s, and literally I have been wanting to heal animals and speak on their behalf since I was a kid. It was always a passion of mine, and I didn't know any other modalities that I could work on other than being a vet or maybe a marine biologist or maybe work in the zoo. I when I was a kid, I just had no idea all of the different range of things that I could do in order to help them. But now, fast forward to where I am today, I know I can help heal them with energy, and that is what I am. That's why I'm very passionate about the work that I do.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So, can you help us understand how the healing works on animals? I know, well, I understand how human healing works on people. And I would assume that it works kind of the same way with animals. Is that correct? If you could just help us understand how how the animals react to it and how it helps them.
Sure. It's a very multi-level kind of healing. It happens at a physical, energetic, mental, and emotional level all at once. And typically, animals will react in different ways depending on their personalities, just like people do. Some animals will just lounge and just take it all in and just be peaceful and basically just pass out the entire duration of the session. Some animals may just take it in smaller doses because that's all they need, and they are always in control of how much they want to take. And so they may just take it for a couple minutes or maybe for a few more minutes, and then they will just stand up and walk away. And that's perfectly fine. They got what they needed.
Hmm.
And most of the times, what I have noticed is they do take it very peacefully. They become very serene, very quiet, very calm, and they just sleep. And that's usually the most common way of responding to the energy healing. But at the molecular level, it's a very interesting process that takes place because as I'm doing the healing on them, I can literally feel where exactly in the body or in their mind the energy is being sent to,
Hmm.
and then I can feel that area of their body just if there is inflammation, I can feel the work happening at the cellular level for that inflammation to come down. I can also feel if the animal is very anxious because maybe the human is very anxious and it's just mirroring the behavior. In that case, I can feel the energy being sent to their mind of both, actually, the human and the animal, and it just bring calmness and peace from within. And it's just beautiful because always at the end of the session I always check with my clients what how do you feel and how is your pet feeling right now compared to where they were before. And they always tell me all the stories about, oh, before the call this was happening, and now just, just relaxing and peaceful. Before, my dog was scratching incessantly, and now he's not. Before he was whining, now he's not. So kind of those results just
Wow.
in one single session. And
Wow.
it just makes me very, very happy to see the healing take place in so many different levels for both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Do you ever find that some animals need more than one session if they have, really deep issues or something like that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The sessions can be just one single time, and the issue is resolved, and sometimes it requires more.
Mhm.
And the energy keeps flowing. It doesn't just start and end at the end of the session.
Okay.
The energy keeps flowing within their bodies, but sometimes the condition or whatever it is so traumatic in their bodies that they need more energy to come in, continue flowing for longer periods of time. So yes, there will be a need sometimes when more than one session is required. It all depends on how the animal responds to it, and then at that time, the human can see another session will be needed.
Okay. I know you also do long distance healing as well. Don't you have some kind of a ritual at night where you're working on certain animals? It, it, can you
Yes,
share a little bit about that?
I work on in the mornings and in the evenings, and I in my practice I incorporate a lot of the things that I have learned over the years. I do the singing bowls. I
Mm-hmm.
work with crystals. I work with essential oils to capture the energetic healing that they provide. And I put all of these together. And when I'm doing the healing session, basically you can is for those of you who would like to practice, it's almost like sitting in a meditative state where you set the intention of sending loving energy to your animal. So I do that with the animals from the sanctuaries. I do that with the animals that are suffering in the factory farms. I do that with the animals that are being tested for medical or experimental reasons,
Mm-hmm.
and also the ones that are, let's say, in the fires, those who are being suffocated by the smoke of the fires that we just had like last month.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever comes to my awareness, that's what I would focus on for that day. And then I sit down in the morning and in the evening, and I add them into my healing practice, along with crystals with me, essential oils that I wear myself.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm not going to put the oil on the animals; they're not there. But I do it remotely, and I put them on me, and
Mm-hmm.
then that adds on to the energetic healing as well. And then during the entire time, I am doing the singing bowls and sending the energy directly from my hara, which is the three areas in the body where it's the most. I wouldn't say the most, but it's one of the very powerful ways of sending energy. So it comes from the core, it comes from the heart, and it comes from the third eye, and then I send that out for all
Mm-hmm.
the animals to receive as they would like. Nothing is imposed on them because they are sentient beings, and they decide if they want the healing at that point or if they want it later. That's fine, but it is being offered, and that is what I do. I send the healing as an offering that they
Mm-hmm.
can take if they would like.
Nice. That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. So, can you share something about a little bit about your animal communication abilities as well, and how you? Well, I guess it kind of ties together, doesn't it? I mean, as you're using your healing abilities, you're pretty much communicating with the animals as well. Is that right?
Yes. Um, so we have a few ethics that we follow when we get one of the animal Reiki practitioner certifications, and that
Mm-hmm.
is to separate the two, the healing from the communication, so that if you are healing the animal, then the animal can receive your undivided attention as a healer, where all of the energy is being sent specifically for that purpose. And then in a separate session or in a separate portion of the session, then you can just focus on specifically communicating back and forth with the animal for the animal to know that you are open to listening
Mm-hmm.
and share whatever is bothering them, whatever they're concerned about, or any other message that they really, really want to make sure that their human knows. And what happens during the communication is you have already established trust with the animal where they know you are coming from a loving place, you're coming to assist and to help and not to cause any harm or anything. And once you have established that trust, then the animal is very excited about, wow, somebody is actually wanting to listen to me. And then they share messages. And that's where, if the human has some questions about, well, I want to know what's going on with this and that, then I can open the space and connect heart to heart with the animal and let the animal know I'm open here to listening to you. If there's anything you would like to share, I I do know that your human has a couple of questions if you have any insight on that. And then you get messages, and the animals are very loving. Um, they don't stress over the news. They don't get upset about somebody cutting them in traffic. I mean, the animals are 24 hours in a loving place. They are so easy to connect with because of that. Um, so usually what they do is they just share with you images or some sort of, sometimes I see it as a movie where I can see the whole scene play out in my mind. Sometimes they specifically just give you a very direct piece of information, just knowing that that
Mm-hmm.
is what it is. That's it. I mean, no question about it. It's just like a fact. um, uh, there's ways where also they communicate by a sense of taste. Like sometimes I may be talking to them and all of a sudden I'm just like tasting like cheese. And then I'm asking, so is that your favorite food? Cheese? Is that that's why I'm tasting some cheese right now? So yeah, so they communicate in all sorts of ways. It's always fun because they all have their own way of talking to you. And also, just like people, they have different personalities. So some are chattier than others. Some will be very stern, very serious, and some others are like, they just want to tell you a lot of stuff that goes on in their day, all their toys, what they did and what they
Oh,
ate.
that's
And
funny.
so yeah, it's very cute. But yes, they connect heart to heart, and as long as we have an open heart, the communication can flow easily.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it can be accessed anytime.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, animals have different personalities just like we do, right? So I can see how they would have a different way of communicating with you and telling you different stories or say different things in how they communicate. Yeah, but I never thought of it that way. I know that as a medium, I communicate with animals as well, and I know that each animal I communicate with is completely different and has something completely different to say to their caretaker on this side. Yeah, so that confirms that. Thank you. So I would imagine you also work with the human caretakers, human companions as well as you're working with the animal. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes. Typically, what I do is I always ask, it's always a choice. I mean, I do not impose on anybody's preferences here. I always
Mm-hmm.
offer a choice, but I like to work on them at the same time. So now during this time where we are mostly at home because we're not seeing each other in person, Typically, what I would say is, I am going to work on the healing from this time to this time. Are you available? Can you sit with your animal at that time and just not be distracted with TV or radio or computers or phone, and just focus on receiving, just open up and just focus on receiving. And so when I send the healing, it is literally coming from my heart to both of them, and creating a safe space where the healing, the energy can be sent. And what I do is help the typically what happens is, the reason the pet is not doing well is somewhere connected to what is going on in the life of the human.
Mm-hmm.
And the human may or may not be aware of that,
Mm-hmm.
but the pet is. And I become aware of that at the moment when I start doing the healing. So that's when I start sending the energy to the areas that are mostly needed. So, and it doesn't mean that the other areas are not going to receive the healing. let's say that let's say that the dog is peeing all over the house, and the owner has no idea what's happening. It must be a bladder condition, or maybe a urinary tract infection. But when I'm sending the healing, the dog is responding to some sort of event that just happened in the household, and the dog is just uh, afraid, or just basically being very, very fearful. And maybe the human was not aware that that particular event caused such a traumatic, a result on the animal,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not aware at all. So at that
Right.
point, then I'm working with both of them, is for the human to realize this is what caused it, and for the animal to realize you are safe now. That's over. The event is has passed. The peeing all over the house doesn't need to continue. So yeah, so that's
Yeah.
kind of like an example of how I work on both of them.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, animals are so sensitive normally, right, to their people and what's going on with them, and they feel that, and there's that intuitive connection, and we might put something aside or on the back burner, or don't deal with it, or it keeps going around in our head. But and our animals feel that stress, right? Would you agree? They feel that all the time because we're in that state.
Yes, and that is where they take the role of being our mirror, so that they reflect back to us what it is that we are doing or not
Mhm.
doing.
Mhm.
And sometimes they may develop a condition in order for us to realize, oh, we have that condition, and I didn't even know. And
Yeah.
so sometimes they do that because they love us and they want to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves. So they do that for our benefit. Sometimes they do that. Could be a
Yeah.
physical illness that they develop in order to show us, hey, you've got to stop eating this particular food. It's going to develop into this particular illness, and that is the illness I already have. So that's what the animals will do for us.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Totally. Yeah, because they don't have that foresight or that forethought of fear when it comes to death and if I do this, this is going to happen to me, kind of thing, right?
Right.
They're,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So they don't. That's not something they focus on, like we're programmed to focus on.
Yes, and they
Yeah.
are the
So they're
best
reacting.
teachers to live in the moment, to
Yeah.
live in the present.
Yeah.
There is nobody else out there that can teach us that as well as animals do. They are not focusing on what is going to happen in the future.
Mhm.
They're specifically right here, right now with us, giving us their unconditional love and fully present,
Mhm.
not thinking about what you did yesterday or what you're going to do tomorrow. No, right here, right now with us. It's,
Right.
yeah, they're the best teachers for it.
Totally. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's beautiful. Can you maybe share one of your more memorable animals that you've worked with that you've seen, a really great turnaround, or, a situation where it really, really touched your heart, and that type of thing. Do you mind sharing something like that with us?
Yes, I have a lot of stories. I mean,
I'm
I have
sure you
worked with
do.
animals. I work with animals that say they just got into the sanctuary and they have a very low probability of making it because they were abused, neglected, abandoned, all kinds of different horrific reasons, and they may or may not make it. So I have worked on them with energy healing, and they make it, and they blossom, and they are happy, and they just grow, and you can see they are like healthiest animal, the happiest animal in the whole entire sanctuary. So I've seen that happen time and time again, which makes me so happy. The other thing that I have seen that for some reason I don't know how I ended up in this, but I have helped so many animals transition peacefully. At the time of death, everybody panics.
Hmm.
Everybody is in a panic mode because their loved their loved pet or their loved animal in the sanctuary is going to cross over, and nobody ever wants to say goodbye. Nobody really feels ready to say goodbye. So somehow, I don't know how, over the years I was able to be so fully present in the moment at the time of transition that I'm able to be that escort into the other side, so that it is a peaceful experience not only for the animal, because the animal is having anxiety, knowing that everybody is in panic attack. So the animal is not afraid of leaving, the animal is afraid of causing so much pain to
Yeah.
everybody that is leaving behind. So that the animal does feel, and it is important to by it is important for me to help the humans so that the animal doesn't have to feel anxious about it, and then they can cross over peacefully, because that's what they want to do in the first place anyway. So I
Hmm.
have somehow developed that specialty in my practice
Nice.
to work with animals that are crossing over, and I've done that at the sanctuaries. I have done that with humans, friends of mine, and it is such, once you detach yourself from the sense of loss,
Hmm.
once you can connect to the all that is, the death is not a traumatic experience. It is definitely, you're going to feel a difference because their physical presence is no longer there, but you are going to feel their energetic presence. They will always be with you. And yes, I developed that specialty. Um, my favorite story that I tell every time is the, and I all my animals are my favorites. Okay, so I love them all.
I'm
Let
sure
me
they are,
just
yeah.
make that clear. um, I cannot really say I love one more than the other. I really
Right.
love them all. But the most impactful story that has stayed with my heart, and I just cannot, to this day, I still cannot. I mean, I am so amazed that this happened. Is the horse Molly that you know about in Canada?
Hmm.
So 2 years ago, in fact, it happened in October. 2 years
Uh,
ago, I was in a retreat. So I was away. I was in France, and a couple of friends of mine called me and said, "We have an issue. We need your help. This horse got kidnapped during the night from the barn, and we don't know where the horse is, what happened." And so I was away in the retreat. I connected with the horse. The horse, I had never met the horse because I had never been to this place. It's a place where this awesome lady, she rescues horses that are illegally being sold for meat. And so she rescues them. And so I had never been to that place. And So I connected with the horse, and the horse immediately showed me like a movie, the whole entire scene play out from her eye level. I could see the person who came and the assistant who came to kidnap her, how they lure her out of the barn, the kind of truck, and even the house where they went to. I could see the whole thing. And but from her perspective, and she never saw the face. She only saw the hand because he was offering salt, and or at least she didn't pay attention to the face. So fast forward, the healing was being done by me and my other two friends for 2 months. We were connecting and sending healing, connecting and sending healing. And the person who kidnapped her moved her around to different locations so that she couldn't be found. So every time the search rescue people came close to finding her, they had moved her to another location and she couldn't be found. So it was painful. It was painful. So 2 months went on, and I had no idea that energy healing could work in this way. I just had no idea. So I was so surprised and so happy, because what ended up happening was all of the energy healing that we were sending. What the result of that was the person who kidnapped the horse brought her back to the farm on Christmas Eve
Wow.
while the owners were not home.
Wow.
So they never got to see the person coming there. They never got a note or a word from this person. The person just delivered the horse back right before Christmas, almost as a gesture of as a Christmas present, right? And that was all done through energy. And we were sending the energy to the horse. I was not aware it was going to have such an impact on the person who kidnapped her. So problem solved. The horse is back, and she's been back in the place since then. And I was so happy of that result. I actually flew to Canada to go meet the horse in person. I could not. I mean, I was just so delighted with it. So I would say energy healing works miracles on the humans and not just the animals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's
that's
amazing.
my favorite story.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah. I know that their science is catching up to metaphysics and that there are scientific studies that have been done where people have used hands-on healing on an animal, and the study was that they injected mice with cancer, and and they had someone use hands-on healing on the animal with cancer, and the other animal that they injected didn't have any healing, and the animal actually was cured of the cancer, the tumors, the cancerous tumors that came up out of the injections, whereas of course the other wasn't. So you don't hear about that though in mainstream media. But
Oh
yeah,
wow,
that's I mean, science is catching
that's a
up and
fact.
it's real. It's totally
It's
real. So
real.
I can see how sending that energy to that situation, right? And the horse in the situation would heal it that way. I mean, it's divine.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so
It's
happy.
yeah, that's an amazing story. I love that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I remember Molly. Yeah. So, can you maybe share with people how they can do something like this on their own with their animal? I know you teach classes on this, so if people really want to delve into it, so they can help their animals, or maybe be a practitioner themselves, correct? So, and we'll have your information at the end, and I'll have it below. I have it below. But if you could share with people, how they can help their animal and themselves, like you said, there's a connection there with if their animal is not feeling well or has some kind of an issue, or is in the of course, always take your animal to the vet, right? Because I know that we're not doctors here. If an animal has a health issue that you're worried about, right? So, but I would imagine that anything the animal caretaker can do, energy-wise, would be helpful for the animal, correct?
Yeah, an example of that is you can connect with the animal and you can pinpoint. Let me give you an example on my pet, Spiky. I was gone. I was gone on vacation, and he was with a friend of mine, and I could connect and I could tell that he was in pain, and my friend was saying he wasn't eating, and I was concerned. So I connected with him, and I was asking him what's going on, what's happening. Is this because I'm gone, that you're not eating, that you lost your appetite, or is this really like some sort of an issue that you got going on that I need to take you to the vet? And um, and he showed me a broken tooth.
Oh.
So literally showed me a broken tooth was the cause of his pain, and that was why he wasn't eating. So I used that information. When I got back from vacation, I already scheduled a vet appointment when I was away, because as soon as I found that information from him, I called the vet and I scheduled the appointment. But which happened to be at the same time that I was working on Molly, by the way. I
Oh.
remember that was, I was away on that retreat. And I told the vet, please examine his teeth. I have I have reason to believe that there might be some sort of a fracture in one of his teeth, and maybe this is the cause of his pain because he's not eating right now. Can you please examine him closely and find that out? And sure enough, that's exactly what it was. And the tooth had to get extracted because the fracture was severe, and we were not going to do a crown or anything like that. And
Yeah.
so it got to be extracted. But that was an example of me using my practice as a tool to have some pre-work done for the vet, not to subject my poor pet to multiple tests to find out why my pet is not eating,
Mhm. Mhm.
because that would have been the case. It would have been like a trial and error kind of thing. It was blood test or this other test and all kinds of tests, which can be painful for the animal. It could be also expensive for the human.
Right.
So if I can connect with the animal and find out where is the issue, then I can go and kind of like direct the vet towards, please check there first and find out if that's what the problem is.
Mhm.
And yeah, it becomes quite useful.
And
Okay.
he started eating after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was fine. Yeah.
Yeah. That
Wow.
was it.
That's
That was the
awesome.
only problem.
Yeah. Very cool.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah. It was clear. It was just a picture of, I could see the broken tooth and was like, oh my God. Yeah. Okay. That would be painful for sure.
Yeah. So for people that don't have that skill, I mean, we're pretty much intuitively connected to our animals. As long as we love our animals and we care about our animals, we're pretty much intuitively connected to them. And so what you're saying is maybe if an animal is having an issue, you can telepathically or psychically or intuitively connect your animal and say, hey, can you tell me what's going on? Use your intuition, use your instincts to get an idea, and then maybe you can steer the vet in that
Right.
direction, right? Yeah, I know I had to do that with my dog recently, and when she was having stomach issues, and I had to suggest some things that they needed to give her, like probiotics and stuff like that, which she didn't think about. So, but she's doing so much better now that I give her probiotics every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. See,
Yeah.
so we all are connected to our animals. We all are. Whether we realize it or not, we are connected. That love relationship that we have with them, that's the bond, that's the connection. And they are constantly talking to us, whether we want to hear about it or not. But they are
Mhm.
constantly talking to us. So just to give you an example, if anybody thinks that they're not connected, that's very funny. Because let's say I give this example in my classes. This is just like the most common example. You are watching TV and you are so into your show. You are watching the show, you are all into it. Everything else does not exist, and poof, all of a sudden you just have this urge. Oh my God, I haven't fed my dog. Where do you think that thought came from?
Right.
That did not come from you. You were focused on the show. You were all into the show. That thought was introduced in your mind by your pet saying, "Feed me now." That's where that thought came from. It wasn't like you were sitting around thinking, "Oh, look at that. It's like 6 p.m. Oh, yeah, maybe this is around, dinner time. Maybe this is the time I should feed my dog." You didn't rationalize, and you didn't have an entire thought process to get you from, "Oh, I'm thinking about this," and then taking the step and feeding the dog. That is your thought. That's your thinking. But when you were watching TV and all of a sudden that thought just popped out of the blue in your mind, that was your dog telling you, "Feed me."
I love
So,
that. Yeah. Oh,
so
they
yes,
do that. They do that. If you haven't given them their treat or their dinner or their walk or something. Yeah.
yes, and I'm talking, the dog hasn't even moved from where they are. They're not whining by your side. They're not
Yeah.
barking or saying anything. They didn't move. They didn't even look at you. The thought just came out of nowhere, out of the blue, truly. And then you get up thinking you're a really good, human, getting up and feeding your dog. It's like, oh, good thing I remembered. No,
Yeah, you give
I told
yourself
you.
credit. Yeah. Right. Well, you can give yourself credit for getting the information, for going with that information. Yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
swear they can tell time. I swear they can
Oh,
tell
yes.
time.
Oh, yeah.
They have some kind of an instinct where they know when, dinner time is, when breakfast time is. They know. Yeah.
They know, they know. And so this kind of communication is happening throughout the entire day, whether we are paying attention to it or not. It is constantly happening. So
Yeah.
we are very in tune with the needs and wants and desires of our pets because they're constantly sending signals to us. They're constantly sending messages to us. We are just not even aware that it's coming from them, but it is.
Hmm.
So, and vice versa. So one of the things that we can do for them is be very aware of our thoughts because as we are anxious and angry and upset or sad, they do not know that it is not directed to them.
Good point.
And
Yeah.
so if we are allowing ourselves to be constantly anxious, then the dog is going to, or the cat or any other pet is going to think, why is she anxious about me? What's happening? What did I do wrong? I mean, it would be like they're thinking you're yelling at them, kind of thing. So they receive, it's a two-way street. Just like we
Yeah.
are receiving those messages, they are receiving our emotions and our feelings and our energy. So we just have to be more mindful about our thoughts and balance ourselves so that we can just be more at peace the majority of the time, and that will help them be also at peace as well. So that's one of the things um, that I believe is super important. I do recommend a book that is called "The Dog Is Your Mirror," and I don't
Oh,
remember who the author
nice.
is,
Okay.
but it has a lab on the cover, a black
Okay.
lab on the cover. That book is very, very clearly, articulately explains this concept of the dog is basically mirroring our thoughts and
What
our,
we have going on. Yeah.
yes. So I do recommend that book. Another thing that you all can do is learn to meditate, because if you're not currently doing meditation, um, you are you probably haven't been able to train your mind to shut down for a little bit so that you can just be.
Mhm.
And that is super important. When you want to establish a connection with your animal, you need to be in a place of just being, not in a place of thinking.
Mhm.
So meditation is what will be the foundation for you to not only send the healing to the animal, but also be able to communicate with the animal, because your mind will not be on the way. You need to learn to shut down the mind, so the mind is not on the way when you're trying to do all this work. That's That's key. That's
That makes
crucial.
sense.
So meditation, if we're not doing it, that would be number one step. But if you are already doing meditation, then the step that you can take is to set the intention. And I would recommend doing it early in the morning before you get busy with anything, and then you start your day as soon as you wake up, and also at the time when you're going to sleep, and then all of the distractions are out of the way. Those 2 moments would be really good, where you just sit in meditation, set the intention that you're going to send a healing to your animal, and at that time, just focus on the energy that is in your heart, and just feel it. Set that intention. Just take a few very good deep breaths to connect with it. And then when you feel like you are in a place of just being, then at that time you can start sending it and offering it to your animal, and your animal will receive it instantly. It's right there. Um, and you can do this for as long as you want to, and always allow your animal to walk away. So not be in a crate or not be in a confined space, so that you will always allow the animal to take as much as they want, and then when they are done they can walk away and say, okay, I had enough, thank
Mm-hmm.
you, and I can go now. Because we never want to impose on them. They need to, they decide how much they need. So
Good point.
that's on them. That's on them to make that
Yeah,
choice, not on us.
right.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
those are the things that you can do.
that's great advice. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for being here today. It's always great to see your beautiful face and connect.
Oh, I love talking to you, Sharon.
Yeah,
Thank you.
oh, thank you. So, um, let's give everyone your information. If you, I mean, I have it down below, but if you want to give us the information on how people can get a hold of you.
Yes, so I have the website where you can see the information about what I do, and in there you have my cell phone number where you can reach out to me via text or email as well. And typically, I will work in the evenings after I'm done with my day job, and also during the weekends. And
Great.
I, if you have a case that is urgent and you're at the ER and everything, I can accommodate and do it as soon as possible. So I'm always looking out for the animals.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Mwah. And thank you everyone for being here. Thank you. And Stephanie, have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Sharon. You
Okay.
too.
And everyone have a wonderful day. All right. Thanks.